Hi, I'm Bea Kupin. You're watching Hashtag The Leader I Want, where we talk to candidates of the 2019 elections. Here, we put the focus on issues, not personalities, platforms, not gimmicks. So today, we're joined by someone many of you are already very familiar with, Senatorial candidate Mar Roxas of the opposition slate. He wants to make a comeback in politics in 2019. Let's find out why. If you have questions, leave a comment on the live stream or send us a tweet. So welcome, sir. Welcome back to Raptor.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And welcome
New
back
offices.
Yeah, you haven't been here in the past.
No, I haven't been here.
You're coming back to the political fray. 2 years, halos, diba?
3 years, nearly
Almost
3
3 years pala. It was a decidedly
May
more
to May.
private life.
Yeah.
How was that?
Lovely.
Relaxing.
Something I was very, very hesitant to leave behind.
Right.
Quality time with the family, time with my wife, time with my mom, time with my son, time with just the extended family, time to make pasyal, time to what I call to make babad, to immerse, rather than all my previous trips, because it was part of a job, was always in a rush, meet this, there's a crisis, there's a volcano eruption, there's an earthquake, there's bagyo, there's something happening, and so you're always rushing, and then there's always a crisis.
Right.
Now it's a lot more, leisurely, and you get a chance to really talk, and so it's nice.
Yeah. I noticed, like, on your Facebook page, like, you always feature, like, talking to the locals, and people, I think, tend to forget that was technically your first actual break since joining politics.
That's right. I joined in 1993 after my brother died. I ran in an election, special election, and what's that? 2016. So
okay. I recall before you announced your
2016.
So the first time in a literal long time that you actually had time to yourself.
Yeah.
I asked you before you officially announced your candidacy, because people were already, like, really clamoring for you to join politics again, to run for the Senate. But you were really thinking about it. Like, hindi yun na parang for show lang na nagdadalawang isip ka. So what really pushed you to say yes?
Well, I mean, in my mind, I was done.
Yeah.
Nagawa ko na lahat ng magagawa ko. I had completed the arc, so to speak, and really my mindset was that of just focusing on my family, and just having quality time. And I remember one of the conversations I had was with Corina. At some point, she said, well, whatever it is you decide, I'm with you. It's just important that you know your purpose. What's your purpose?
Okay.
Yung purpose-driven life, di ba? That she adheres to.
Right.
And that was where I really started to really think that, because it's not the ego, it's not the I've not sa yabang, but medyo been there, done that. I've been a senator, I'm majority leader, many positions in government. I served several presidents. So it wasn't like I needed it to fill in a curriculum vitae or something. It was just really, is there something you can contribute ba? Is there something that you can bring to the table that's productive?
Okay.
And well, the answer was yes.
Right.
And so the next question was, well, is government the way to contribute? Because you can also contribute in the family foundation, or in the private sector by hiring people and so on and so forth. And really, my experience has been that government is the single most effective way to make things happen in society. If you pass a good law, as I did in the Fair Equitable Access to Education Act, then it's pantay-pantay ang educational opportunities for all kids all across the country. It's not just my province or my region, but for all the kids. If you're able to pass cheaper medicines law, as I did, then you bring down the price of of medicines for diabetes and for high blood for everyone. So that's what impelled me. At the end of the day, you know, it was really sort of dragging my feet, and towards really the end, you know, when I couldn't delay the decision anymore, and you really had to think it through, and that's, you know, I had a chat with my family and my wife, and he said, yeah, okay, let's, you know, parang may dahilan ba na ipagkait mo yung tulong mo, no? Parang you withhold your tulong.
May maambag ka pa. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Kung makakatulong ka.
Yeah. That's interesting for me, how you talk about government as the single most, not single, but the most effective way, I guess, to institute change. That's a surprising perspective coming from someone who served, who's held different positions for 95 years, because like, I think a lot of, especially newbie legislators, would realize during their first terms or first few years na parang hindi pala ganun kadali. Ang dami mo palang lulusutin, parang dadaanan, lulusutin, ang dami, may politika pa on the side, aside from the policy itself. Where does that perspective come from na, diba, parang maraming frustrations din in government, I'm sure.
Maraming frustrations. Not everything is easy. In fact, most things are hard.
Right.
Start off with the premise that mahirap, no? But if you have a good idea, nakukumbinsi mo napakarami, and they support it, it becomes law,
right.
then you're able to help so many people, no? If it becomes policy, then you're able to help so many people. So, for example, no, on my first term as a senator, I filed a bill about removing income tax from minimum wage earners. My concept then was minimum wage earner na yan. May kaltas na yan sa GSIS or SSS, may kaltas na yan sa pag-ibig, kakaltasan mo pa ng withholding. So tanggalin natin ang tax sa minimum wage earners because by definition, minimum na nga sila. No? Tanggalin natin ang tax. No? I convinced fellow senators about it. I convinced congressmen about it. So, as you know, both chambers pass a version. We go to BICAM, and it becomes law. So all of a sudden now, there's tax relief for minimum wage earners. They no longer have to even file the income tax return. Dati kasi, it would be withheld and then reimbursed. So from a cash flow point of view, if you're minimum, you cannot afford na mawala sa iyo yung withhold na yon kahit isusoli pa, di ba? So that's I mean that's a big amount.
Right.
So
tapos yung oras din na yung time that it takes between
for the return. So that in itself was, you know, you can sit back and you say, look, nobody's going to thank you for this. No, this is not glamorous. This is not tawag pansin or whatever, but people are helped, no? I mean, it puts real money in people's pockets, and kahit papaano, may konting kaginawahan na dumating sa kanila. So, look, government's the single biggest player in our economy and in our society. What the government says ought to be taught to the kids, that's what the kids learn. What the government says must be spent on is where the money goes. So it's the single biggest player. So if government is constructive, if government is a force for good and it's a force for progress, then its impact is fantastic, right? Alternatively, if government is not functioning well, then it also has
policies.
Yeah, then it also has
the impact is
substantive.
Greater. I was going to ask you these later, but since you already brought it up and people are asking on social media. You are campaigning now as the economist. Like, I mean, that's your primary push as a senatorial candidate. I want us to go through each of the current administration's economic policies. I think to begin with, because someone already asked on social media, what's your take on the train law? At least the first batch, the first round.
Look, there are elements of the train law that are okay and I would support. There are elements which I am against, which is the tax on fuel.
Okay.
That's 10 pesos per liter.
Okay.
That's 10 pesos per liter that's added to everyone's bill.
Right.
And you know, from as a reporter covering news all these years, is that the moment transport increases in cost, everything, just like a cascading domino effect. No? Even if it is not calculable calculably valid, it becomes now a reason. And nagmahal ang pamasahe. Nagmahal ang gasolina. So all of a sudden, prices down the line.
Basic commodities.
Yeah. So you can argue and you can discuss and you can say, hindi dapat yan, whatever. But ayan ang presyo. Diba? Unless huhulihin mo, na hindi mo naman pwedeng hulihin. Diba? Kasi naghahanap buhay lang. It's a free market system. No?
Right.
So sa palengke, pag nagtaas ng presyo yan, apektado na lahat. No?
Right.
And so that 10 pesos per liter no, affects pamasahe.
Yeah.
If it affects pamasahe, it affects take-home ng manggagawa.
Yeah.
If it affects take-home ng manggagawa, it affects labor policy because hihingi ngayon ng dagdag sahod yan.
Yeah.
Okay. If it affects labor policy, it then affects investment policy because kung nagmahal yung labor cost dito,
mapapaisip din yung mga...
Then mamumuhunan, yes. Mag-expand ba o hindi, magpapasok ba sa Pilipinas o hindi. So what I'm saying is that this policy, which maybe was in the first round, looks, we'll raise some money, really has debilitating effects down the line. That's the first point. The second point for me is even worse. A full tank for a rich person is meaningless.
Yeah.
He spends 1,000 pesos. Yeah, but he
No
makes...
big deal.
Yeah, right. But for a tricycle driver, his full tank of 6 liters is 300 pesos.
That's big.
Malaki yan. Yung pamasahe niya is 25 pesos kada pasahero. Diba? So it's not, there are some economists that make this calculation that it's really the rich that pay the big bulk of it. Could be, because the rich have the vehicles and have the cars, no?
I see.
And the power boats, etc. But the impact to this minimum wage earner is huge compared to the impact to the rich.
Right.
So it's not just the numbers, but it's the equities that one must look into.
So what went wrong, do you think? Like, our legislators didn't see that, the economic thing?
I don't know. I mean, there are many people running for the Senate. Why don't you ask them what their votes were? I mean, everybody is going to be asked about what your vote was.
Yeah.
So you know where I stand, and that's what I'm having been in the Senate before. You cannot hide. Every vote, every statement you make, every sentence that you utter on the floor is...
It will be scrutinized.
Yeah, I mean, you've got everybody looking and examining it. And so, I know what my vote will be, and I know what my position will be.
I recall also, sir, you published a Facebook post. Was it a note or a post about the rice policy of the administration? What would you change? It was unsolicited advice at that point, right?
Yeah, at that time, I was going around the country, and one of the things I was, in fact, the one that was complaining to me was my guide dito sa Mount Batulao in Batangas, no? And he was saying, ang mahal na ng bilihin, ang bigas pumatak sa 55, ganun, no? And so, I thought about it, and I wasn't following newspapers, I wasn't following any issues, nothing. And so, I picked up a few articles on the web and tried to understand what's going on. There was apparently a shortage, and in fact, this shortage was forecasted, except that we had not imported early enough, right? So I think what's important is that, all I said was, look, you may consider the following, diba? Na halimbawa, one of the sort of suggestions I had was make the importation easier for the big consumers. Halimbawa, if you take the rice consumption of Jollibee, of Chowking, of Mang Inasal, isang grupo lang yan eh.
Oh, right.
Diba?
Right.
So, if you take all that rice and allow them to import their own needs, hindi na sila makikiagaw sa demand on the local. So there will be an easing of the demand in the local prices or in the granaries or in the warehouses, etc. No? So there'll be more supply now for the average person. So those were some of the ideas that I put forward. There was another idea about, I asked around, and it was so complex and complicated, really designed for corruption, the importation processes of NFA, no, na iilan lang ang nabibigyan ng lisensyang mag-import. Well, if you really want to ease the burden on the people, make sure that there's rice. Right. No? For this importation, hindi mo na matutulungan ang magsasaka because, well, tapos na yung harvest di ba? The way to help naman the magsasaka is longer term. Make sure that they have cheaper credit, make sure that they have crop insurance, make sure that they have access to their seeds, and most importantly, make sure that they have access to post-harvest facilities, the modern post-harvest facilities. Why? Because the DA itself says 25 to 30% of their harvest, palay na, naani ng palay, 25 to 30% of that, nawawala because mapurol yung blades ng thresher. Wastage. So nababasag yung butil, so hindi nabebenta. Binibilad sa kalye, nasasagasaan, tinutukan ng mga ibon, di ba? Nahahaluan ng bato. So, biro mo, naani mo na, hindi mo pa mamamaximize yung recovery. So, if we had post-harvest facilities na yung modernong harvester, well, unang-una, ubos lahat yan. Pangalawa, naka-bale na yan, naka-thresh na yan, maayos na yan, itutuyo na lang yan. No? So you can gain 25-30% income for the same amount of land. For the same amount of land, simply because you've improved recoveries. Dagdag mo pa dyan, I mean, I can go on and on, but dagdag mo pa dyan, for example, for the farmers, half our population is in the rural areas, no? And rice is our most important staple crop. So, for example, our average yield is about 4 tons palay, okay, per hectare, right? Well, in Negros, in Bago City particularly, they've been able now to average 6 to 8 hectares per hectare. 6 to 8 tons per hectare. 6 to 8 tons per hectare. Ibig sabihin, for the same hectare, they are producing 50 to 100% more palay than the average of the country. That's in Negros, a place where if you say Negros, people think sugarcane.
Yes.
Diba?
Yes.
But now it's actually rice producing. Their projection is in a couple of years, they're going to be net rice exporters na rin. No? So they won't be so dependent on sugarcane. So the point lang I'm trying to make is that there are ways to help the farmers without hurting the consumers. I mean, it's not binary. It's not na pag tumulong ka, pag tumulong ka sa consumer kasi nag-import ka, masasaktan ng farmer. Hindi naman because nag-fail na nga yung crop eh. Di ba? Kulang na eh. So hindi nag-import ng tamang panahon, hindi nakapag-stock up. So bakit mo naman hahayaan na pumatak sa 55? Ang bigas sa palengke, so wala namang impact na yan sa farmers. So ang farmers naman, tutulungan mo bago pa sila magtanim, na hindi nila uutangin yung itatanim nila, na they have cheap credit, they have the modern facilities, they have hybrid seeds, they have access to the fertilizers, so on and so forth, para pag harvest, malaki ang may harvest nila, lalaki kita nila, dadaming supply dito, hindi tayo kailangan mag-import. Diba?
So I have to ask, because obviously economic policy affects us all, especially the minimum wage earners. But do you find it difficult on the campaign trail or when you go around to explain these sometimes complicated issues?
Really, our people are very bright, Bea. Okay. No? And sometimes economics is made unnecessarily complex, maybe to hide fuzzy reasoning, maybe for some other motive. No, but here, simple lang ito. This is the way I explain it. Right, Bea? Kita, sweldo, gastos. Mas malaki ang kita sa gastos, ginhawa. Mas malaki ang gastos sa kita, hirap. Simple lang yan eh. So what's the role of government? The role of government is palakihin ang kita at sweldo kaysa sa gastos. No? I mean, una akong nakilala ng mga tao as Mr. Palengke, nagbabantay dito sa gastos, sinisiguro na sa tama ang timbangan, hindi sila niloloko, no? And dun din naman tayo, tinaguyod natin yung call center industry, tumulong tayo sa pagpasok ng mga investors dito para dumami ang incomes and mga trabaho, no? So, yun ang kaginawahan. Now, if we can keep doing that, then giginhawa ang buong Pilipinas, no?
I want to ask you more about your take on the economic policies currently, but because you already mentioned the Mr. Palengke campaign, that was in the anong year na elections yun?
2004.
You were number one as a result of that during as a result of the elections. There was, well, the impression was that there was really effort to be the number one senator of that election. Correct me if I'm wrong, or was was it just a pleasant surprise?
That was just a surprise. I mean, Bea, I was on page 2 in December before the election, 6 months before the elections. I was on page 2.
Right.
So it's not like how could you even aspire to be number one? You're on page 2 no, of the surveys.
Right.
So I think that the simplicity and the clarity of the message, which is, dito ako tututok, ito yung alam ko eh. Dito ako makaka-contribute.
Na hindi lang economy, pero something as simple as sa palengke tayo magko-concentrate.
Oo, kasi yung economy madalas macro, mga theory, and all that, no? But actually, if you cannot bring it down to what it means to an ordinary person, it's useless.
There you go.
Kasi,
of course.
Di ba? I mean, it's really, at the end of the day, it's not so that you can write on a blackboard. At the end of the day, it's so that you can help them gain relief and kaginawahan in their lives.
And we also help them understand these complicated issues.
Yeah, so the people saw it, they understood it, and they supported it. And it was just, ang kalaban ko noon in the race was Bong Revilla, artista, sikat, may TV show, si Lito Lapid. I mean, big shots. I was on page 2. So, hindi mo masasabi na maging number. Wala. I mean, makapasok ka lang sa 12, no? And I think that, you know, it's funny. After I became number 1, you know, people were saying, oh, this, that, and whatever. But I found out, parehas din lang ang boto nyo eh. One vote.
That's true. It's just one seat in the Senate.
Parehas din lang yung opisina nyo, pagkakatabi.
Exactly.
Parehas ang staff. There's no, it's
just bragging rights, I'm guessing.
It's you know, the point is, if you want to serve, you can serve, and that's what you should focus on.
Okay. Without meaning to age you, sir, you've gone through many different campaigns. You've seen old school campaigning, and you've seen it change through the years. So, like especially now, social media is a factor, or is, I'm guessing you cannot. It's safe to say it is a factor in the elections. How different will this run be, you think, from your previous candidacies?
Well, as you know, Bea, as I said, I'm just starting off again, right? So I'm just getting my sea legs back. Definitely, the technology is different. Here we are, the two of us. You've got a couple of cameras.
Online,
You're streamed online. You don't need now the huge sort of infrastructure of the networks or whatever. No? So, yeah, I mean, so the technology has changed. The positions have also changed. No, I mean, as you know, in the Philippines, politics is weather. No, there was a time you covered us. There was a time when there was like 28 invitations for every hour of the day. Now, there's not one. So, okay lang, no? Because you're not flavor of the month. Di ba? So okay lang. Naintindihan naman natin yan na people don't want to be put in a uncomfortable situation or as they say, when they text or they call, they say, you know, ayaw namin malagay sa alanganin, and you know, so okay lang. But we reach the people differently now. Naman, there's social media. There's.
Did you find it hard to adjust to that? Na parang kailangan na may social media presence ka? Because you had a Facebook page pretty early, but now kailangan naka-update, kailangan.
No, well, we had the Facebook page early. We had all of the elements of it, but it wasn't really actively cultivated.
Right, in the context of running a campaign.
That's right. It was like parang journal. Oh, this is what I did. This is where I went. This is who I was with. The pictures. Parang ganun lang, no? Parang dyaryo. Yeah. Which apparently is not what enough people want. Nowadays, it's not enough, no? So it's boring. So I try never to make the mistake of magmamarunong. No? If I don't know, then you ask
people who might have a better idea.
Yeah, and generally they're younger than me.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm already senior citizen. Yeah, so, you know, I'm medyo...
You actually announced your candidacy, your decision to run in 2019 through Facebook, right?
That's right,
It wasn't a media interview, it wasn't a press con.
That's right.
How different is the 2019 voter, you think? Or is he or she different? Is it the same as, let's say, the 2010 voter?
You know, if you think about it, a 2019 voter, somebody 19 years old in 2019, was not born in 2000. Hindi dumaan ng EDSA yan. Hindi dumaan ng Asian financial crisis yan. I mean, maraming hindi nadaanan yan. No? And even those who are slightly older, wala pang malay during these very, very critical formation periods in our contemporary history as well as in our... No? So it's very different. But I think, you know, people are different, but I think they're also the same.
In that?
We're all proud to be Filipinos. We're all not content na hanggang dito na lang tayo sa kahirapan. I think Filipinos, you know, when they go abroad, they see Filipinos are handling very, very complex machinery, very complex factories, very complex, sophisticated mechanics, etc. No? So, bakit ang hirap makaahon? No? Bakit ang hirap na marating ang kaginawahan? No? While in other countries, it seems so much easier. The same amount of kayod gets you further than it does here. No? So I think those are the same. I think that the capacity to sacrifice, the capacity to work hard, the talent, the intelligence is in us. No? And so for me, I think that one of the ways that I can really help is to use the leverage of government. I don't mean leverage in debt, but I mean leverage as in the lever, you know, so that government can be there to help na mas malayo ang mararating mo, mas marami ang mapapala mo for the kayod that you do. Diba? Kasi kayod ka ng kayod. After a whole lifetime, mahirap ka pa rin. Wala pa rin kinabukasan ng anak mo. Parang
hindi ka man lang umangat or hindi ka man lang nag-move up in the...
Exactly. Parang, you know, ang concept natin lahat is yung social mobility. Na at least mahirap ka man today, maiiwan mo sa mas maayos na kalagayan yung mga anak mo.
Right.
Di ba? Parang, so it's like an escalator, no? Every generation does better, and as a country, we all do better. But hindi nangyayari dito sa loob ng Pilipinas yan. Most of the progress, most of the social mobility is happening outside by Filipinos, no? Not inside. No? Inside, it's the elites. Right. You know, who play the stock market game, who play the bond game, who play the financials. Right. Diba? And that's why there's two Philippines. There's a Philippines in BGC and Makati that is Singapore. The stores are the same as in Singapore.
The streets are clean all the time.
The prices of food and everything are the same as in Singapore. Right. And then there's the Philippines, that's the 95% that's not like
majority.
That. Diba? So I'm concerned with the rest of the Philippines. Right. Because the people who can afford BGC and can afford Makati can take care of themselves.
Because you point out nga na in the Philippines, it's the elite who can, you know, who enjoy life for the most part. But you're part of the elite. And arguably, a lot of us are part of the upper middle class. So parang, baka tanungin yung mga tao, ano bang alam mo, paano mo ba matutulungan yung mahihirap? Hindi ka nga, alam mo yun, hindi ka nga isa sa kanila, parang gano'n.
I don't think it's a disqualifying quality. I think the point is, I cannot deny, pinanganak ako sa elite. Pinanganak ako sa buhay maginhawa. Yeah. That's the luck of birth.
Right.
Question is, what did I do with my life?
Right.
Nagpayaman lang ba ako?
Right.
Nag-focus lang ba ako? Ginamit ko ba yung kaalaman, yung network, yung contacts, yung experience ko para lang magpayaman ng sarili ko or pamilya? Or ginamit ko ito, shinare ko ito sa mga kababayan ko sa pamamagitan ng gobyerno para maipasa natin yung cheaper medicine law, para maipasa natin yung RHQ law, para pumasok dito yung regional headquarters, para yung mga eco-zone law, and so on and so forth. No? So I'm confident. I don't feel parang dehado because ito yung track record ko eh. No? And yan, batas yan, hindi daldal yan. So I mean, that's what it is.
A lot of these are actually very familiar because I covered him during the 2016 campaign trail. These are very familiar issues and stands that you've had. One last question for the economic policy lang naman. Jobs creation.
Yeah.
How is this administration handling that, do you think?
Well,
that was one of your major...
The numbers speak for themselves, right? The unemployment and underemployment numbers speak for themselves. I think that's just one measure.
Yeah.
I think another measure is the quality of life of most people. If you're a farmer, if you're a fisherman, dapan-dapa ka.
Yeah.
Half our population is not in urban areas. Half our population is in the rural areas, dependent on farming and fishing. If you look at most cities outside of Metro Manila, even if they are cities, the jobs there are government jobs.
That's true, actually.
The jobs there are school jobs. The jobs there are they're not manufacturing. There's some tourism.
Is that problematic?
I think so, because we should have more jobs that are commercial in nature, tourism, factory, and other such business, small business, etc. Rather than just dependent on government. Kasi kung government job, you're just dependent on the IRA.
Tama.
Di ba? Isang spigot lang yan. Di ba?
Okay.
So para sa akin, it's the quality of the jobs, it's the impermanence of the jobs. There's so many jobs that are relatively impermanent. Sa isang pitik ng tadhana, wala ka ng trabaho. Diba?
Yung hindi ka sigurado.
Hindi ko sigurado.
Paggising mo bukas, may trabaho pa ba?
This is one thing that I studied during the years in the wilderness. No? There's the money, and then there's the security. The security is knowing that you have a job.
There's a steady stream that will arrive.
Na bukas, and so long as handa kang kumayod, whether it's Pico or whether it is Cargador or encoding, whatever that job is, if you know that it's there day in, day out, then you can plan, okay.
Because then you can actually start thinking about the future.
That's right. If not, then you're just one kahig, isang tuka. And at that point...
Which is a lot of Filipinos.
That's right. No? So yeah, I mean, there's this issue now about Chinese nationals taking jobs from Filipinos.
Yes.
Why is that? I mean, I think our government should be quite forward and aggressive in defending these jobs from Filipinos. The excuse that I hear is that, well, these are ODA, Official Development Assistance, at these mga pautang ng Chinese government dito.
Nakasipilit sa kontrata.
And ang condition is dapat Chinese magtrabaho dito. Ang akin naman is, huwag na tayong umutang. Kung ganun din lang pala.
Yeah.
Di ba? The Japanese don't impose that. Koreans don't impose that. Australians, Americans, the rest of the world doesn't impose that. Bakit sa China, magpapautang sila sa atin, pautang ha, hindi bigay. Pautang sila sa atin, babayaran natin, pero sila ang yung unemployment nila ang natutugunan nila, hindi yung unemployment natin. No? So, I mean, these are small things, but they all add up.
Right, of course. I will jump to a question from social media.
Okay.
This one naman is about the party. I would like to ask Mr. Mar Roxas, how will he be able to persuade me and the other former proponents, I think he means supporters, to go back and support the party that his grandfather had co-founded? About the Liberal Party, obviously.
Well, what's his name? Or if he doesn't want to call it, just to the writer. Ang natalo noong 2016, ako, si Mar Roxas. Hindi yung prinsipyo natin. Hindi yung values natin. Hindi yung pangarap natin para sa Pilipinas. So, nandyan pa rin yan. Yung pangarap natin sa isang magandang bukas. No? Yung pagkatalo ko, personal ko yun. Pero hindi natalo yung ating adhikain, yung ating values. Nandyan pa rin yan.
I actually wrote a story in 2016 or 2017, and I think the LP would vehemently disagree with me, but the party kind of lost its bearing for a while after the 2016 elections. Ngayon, medyo okay na siguro as the de facto opposition party, right? How would you assess how the LP is responding to its de facto role as an opposition?
You know, Bea, I hesitate to answer,
right,
only because I'm no longer the head of the party.
Right.
But
you once
but you know, I think that, you know, after I lost,
right,
I retired. I sort of let go of all my entanglements in politics and the like. And so hindi ako kasama sa decision making or
right,
sa
daily
policy making.
Daily grind and policy making.
Yeah,
That's true.
and so I would defer to the leaders.
Right.
As you know, in my candidacy, I said that, you know, I was running because I can focus on the economy, and that's what I'm focused on. That's, you know, yeah.
Okay. Another question from social media. I'll read it verbatim, and maybe I'll just re-angle the question later on. I would like to ask Roxas why his party has only produced 8 candidates for the senatorial midterm elections. I think he means the coalition slate. Is it a strategy? If so, what good can it possibly give them? Or it's just that his party can no longer to produce popular personalities with financial capacity? I guess what they're trying to ask is, hindi ba sobrang handicap yon na you only have 8 candidates in the slate?
Again, I cannot, in fact, I'll tell, the truth is, many months as they were finalizing lists and names and so on and so forth, list A, list B, list C, etc., I told the leaders of the party, wag niyo na isama ang pangalan ko. Out na ako.
Right. Why is that?
Because I was really out. I mean, wala talaga akong intensyon na tumakbo. Kasi, wag niyo akong antayin, wag niyo akong isama, don't even include me because it will confuse pa. Wala na ako, no? And I know in those days, I could overhear that there were debates as to whether it's 12 candidates, 8 candidates, 6 candidates. By the way, those 8 candidates are not all Liberal Party.
Yeah.
No, so iba-ibang partido
na coalition partners.
Yeah. So what the terms are for the coalition, what the legislative agenda is, wala ako dyan, no? Di ako naghuhugas kamay. That's just the truth, no?
Right.
In the end, as people were saying, it's your duty. Yung pinakamatimbang sa akin is, what would your father say?
Right.
Diba? Because parating tinuturo sa amin, mag-ulikid ka. Ulikid is a Ilonggo term for look back. Lumingon. Parang lumingon sa pinanggalingan. No? Mag-ulikid ka, perme. Because he would always say, kamuya okay kamo. Kayo okay kayo.
Okay.
No? Mag-ulikid ka mo. Always look back. Para kasama nyo yung mga kababayan nyo, kasama nyo yung mga tao. Hindi lang na good na kayo, safety na kayo.
Right.
Diba? So that was always something that my father...
Hindi pwede na kayo lang yung okay.
Yeah. So yun ang pinakamabigat sa akin, no? Yung ano pa sasabihin ng dad mo? And then that, together with what Corina said, na what's your purpose in life? Diba? Hindi naman pwede na akit ka na lang ng bundok. Diba? Or magkakampi.
So you enjoy that? And that's arguably a very enjoyable activity.
Sabi ko, namundok na nga ako.
Yeah.
That, no? So that was what it was. No?
Right.
It was a very personal decision.
Right.
Not so much party or color or chaleco or whatever. You have to remember, Diana, I went through na ako yung nagdadala ng partido, no? I've been through that, medyo been there, done that.
Yeah.
And so that's a burden that I don't relish taking on.
It wasn't very fun, I'm guessing. Those years as party president.
Yeah, so
You talk about
I'm just an ordinary member.
Yeah. Your family in the context of politics. Obviously the Roxas name is not new in politics. But a lot of your family members are actually private individuals. They don't, ikaw lang in politics, right? How did they also handle the whole, kasi sanay na sila na 2 years. Amin na si...
There was nobody for it. I mean, I'll tell you, this is an actual scene. One of the people who was trying to convince me, who was very, very vocal, was Edwin Lacierda. Okay, so one time we were having family lunch, and he comes in very up and says, oh, people are, want Mar to run and this and that and so on. He knows naman my family because he was there during the campaign. And so there may have been 8 cousins, cousin, sister, mother, aunt, whatever, mga 8 to 10 people. And he said, oh, sige, sino dito ang gustong tumakbo si Mar?
Yeah.
Not one hand was raised, including mine. Not my wife's, not my son's, nobody, Yeah. So it wasn't something, I don't mean to make hele-hele pero quiere, but that's the reality, that's the true thing that happened.
Because it's easier, I'm guessing, also for them.
Absolutely.
It's a quieter life.
Yeah,
it's a simpler life.
And for all of them, hindi naman namin, look, don't take this in the wrong way. Hindi namin ginawang negosyo ang politika.
As opposed
may negosyo kaming pinagmulan. Hindi namin negosyo ang politika. Hindi kami kumikita sa politika. Hindi kami dynastic sa politika. Because it's really service. Hindi kami sabay-sabay. Never. So ang point ko lang is that it really was a difficult decision. But in the end, they all said, well, whatever you decide will be with you. Right. But you have to decide. And so I said, okay. So I did some discernment, some meditation, some really deep thinking about, what's my obligation, what's my duty to my country, what's my duty to people. Parang figuratively, we're in the foxhole together. Yeah. Right? We're fighting poverty, we're fighting hunger, we're fighting illiteracy, ignorance, we're fighting for all the things that we believe in, right? So what's my obligation? One image that was in my mind was, veterano na ako. Tapos na ako sa World War II, tapos na ako sa Korean War, tapos na ako sa Vietnam War. Pwede na lang, dito na lang ako sa background, mag-uutos na lang ako. Kasi di ba yung mga veteranong lolo natin or tito, gano'n.
2 cents na lang, advice ka na lang.
Di ba? But parang hindi na kayanan ng kalooban ko. Na that's like medyo cop-out, gano'n. So if you can help, basta nauwi doon. If you can help. If you can make bogsay is Ilonggo for sagwan. So if you can make sagwan to help us move forward, then put your oar in the water.
Right. We have a question from social media because you mentioned ignorance nowadays. Harvin Peter Chu asks, in this day and age of fake news and internet trolls, how do you plan on fighting these hindrances to politics? Not just politics, but the truth.
To everything.
Yeah.
It's just really stick with the truth.
Was it shocking to you? Yung deluge of like trolls and then these...
It was shocking. What was more shocking was that how many people could believe untruths or fake news. In the beginning, hindi ko pinapansin yan because walang maniniwala dyan. Hindi totoo yan eh. But apparently,
but
may
these
mga
little
naniniwala
lies
like that.
actually grow into bigger lies, right?
So now I'm more aggressive na hindi totoo yan. Ito yung totohanan, But you're right. I mean, look, forget me. Okay? Forget the Philippines. Let's talk big picture.
Right.
There are lies that are being said about global warming.
Of course.
Diba? That will affect the whole planet. The seas will rise.
Right.
Manila, which is below sea level, will be inundated. Cavite. I mean, I'm talking the next 15, 20 years. That's in one generation. No? So, hindi pwede that fake news and kasinungalingan will prevail.
Yeah.
No? There are people, for example, who really believe that the earth is flat. Diba? I mean,
ako dun sa...
No, but that's true.
There are actual people who do believe.
No, not only that. NBA superstars. I mean, I follow them. I know them, no? Certain NBA superstars really believe the earth is flat or doubt that the earth is round. So, if the basis for science is not grounded, how can we progress in many scientific undertakings and endeavors that will seek to help us find solutions and answers to what our needs are? Oil is running out, it's becoming expensive. Water is the next big crisis. Water is, mark my words, February 8, 28, mark my words, water is going to be more expensive than oil. Water is the next big crisis.
Right.
You know, in the Philippines, we have to start thinking about how do we impound the water, because we have so much water na baha tayo, then it just gets all flushed out into the ocean, and then we have no water,
we
drought,
don't really think
tagtuyot,
about
right? Diba? We have to start thinking about impounding this water so that we will have water for irrigation, water for drinking. I mean, these are the real problems that we face, that the next generation faces.
Right.
And we need to start paying attention to these things. They're not sexy, they're not glamorous, they're not tawag pansin. But these are the real problems that need to be addressed. And if you know, if we don't do that, we'll wake up and say, oh my God, ano na nangyari dito sa atin?
Because if you talk about like how misinformation actually translates into real world problems, the measles outbreak now, I mean, a lot of parents who refuse to have their babies injected because they thought na vaccines in general.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is simple of mumps, measles, and rubella. This is the basic
super preventable
MMR.
diseases.
Yeah, preventable. No, so, and you know, I've been studying a lot about sickness in infants, and you know, ito talaga. Prevention is better than cure.
Yeah. Because hospitals now are having a hard time handling the cases.
No, and when and there are now viruses and bacteria in hospitals that, because of the environment in the hospital, are now not easily eradicated. They have become resistant. So you bring your baby to the hospital, makatanggap yan ng bacteria na yun, all of a sudden pneumonia, it's
super bugs.
Yeah. So yeah.
From little viruses to viral news. Let's jump back to the elections. So far, sa mga senatorial preference surveys, ikaw lang tapos si Senator Bam yung nakakapasok sa so-called Magic 12. Does this bother you? Do you think surveys are a good way to gauge how the elections will end up?
Well, a survey is a snapshot of a point in time, no? Nagpapasalamat ako na pumapasok tayo.
Yeah.
Vote pa more, diba? I hope, no? But that's just today. So for me, the election is not today. The election is in 3 months. It hasn't even started, diba? February, next week pa, diba? So the 3 months has not started, no? So hindi ako nagkakampante. I'll continue to talk and present my platform and what I hope to work on and specific, no? Hindi lang yung pie in the sky and tutulong tayo. Everybody naman tutulong eh. Pero sa anong paraan? Anong pamamagitan, di ba? Anong mekanismo na, halimbawa, malinaw sa akin, yung 4Ps, isa sa batas ko yan. Why? It's an investment in our children. Right now, it's just a program. It can be taken away. It can be amended. It can be used as a political tool, which is what's happening in many areas. No? So ako, isa sa batas ko yan para may kasiguruhan yung mga nanay na hindi sila basta-bastang mawawala or basta-bastang magagamit sa politika. No? Ako, ihahain ko yung pag-repeal ng buwis sa petrolyo.
Okay.
No, I mean, and people they either vote for it or they're against it, and we all answer for our votes. I mean, we're all mature people there in the Senate. So, BUB, bottom-up budgeting.
Okay.
I'm going to
you want
push
to institutionalize it?
Yeah, to institutionalize it. Why? For the first time, communities choose what's their project. It's not the secretary, it's not some senator, it's not some congressman, but the communities themselves. That is the true essence of empowerment. Every barangay, every town in the country wala tayong pinili.
Right.
Wala tayong inatsapwera. Lahat kasama. No? So for the first time, you have a blanket development, minimum level of development all across the country. I'd like to institutionalize that. The money's there. They haven't taken it away. They just changed the name. Right? They changed the mechanics, but it's still there. So let's institutionalize it. Right?
In politics.
Next, internet. You know, we're here on the net. We are number 88 in the world.
Right.
Okay? So it's
and that's considering we are very heavy social media users.
That's right. So
natin yan.
So we are number 88 in the world. You take a look at the profits of the telcos, and it's unconscionable relative to the service and the quality that they're giving us. I mean, that's very clear in my mind. No, I mean, Bea, having been the father of the call centers, I also know that there's another branch, there's another million or so Filipinos, young Filipinos, who are earning their money not in call centers, but using the internet from their homes.
Oh,
they teach English.
They
edit books.
Working from home.
Yes,
right,
they edit books. They do graphics.
Right.
No? They write manuscripts.
Right.
They write research papers. There's about copy. So there's about a million.
Big na pala yung,
it's
a growing industry.
Yes, it's about 1 million, right? Okay. They're earning money. That's part of our economy. Yeah. And the limiting factor they have is the internet service.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, you know, it's not rocket science. We have the NTC. We have the franchises. So
is a third player the solution? That seems to be what they're
pushing.
It
could be. For me, so long as there's competition, it's better. But let's make sure that third player is not just going to be part of the oligopoly.
Yeah.
Diba? That will just reap the same profits that's already being reaped.
So may sumingit lang na isa sa current situation.
Hati-hati sila.
Right.
No, ang point ko ganito, no? Here's a simple change. Okay? I won't even lay credit for it, but here, let me say it to you, okay? In the media. Simply change the policy from up to 5 Mbps, up to 10 Mbps, up to 20 Mbps. Change it from up to minimum of. Kasi up to...
So you change the standard.
Up to is lokohan eh. Totoo lang, no? Up to 100 Mbps. Wow. Eh pala, it's only available 1 minute of the day.
Right.
The rest of the time, it's only 10 Mbps.
Right.
Pero ang binabayaran mo is up to 100 Mbps. Right? Simply change it to, para alam natin what we're getting.
Right.
Change it to minimum of. So when you buy minimum of 10 Mbps, then you know that telco guarantees 24/7 10 Mbps.
At the very least, that's
At the
what
very
you
least.
get.
Because that's what they're advertising. Itong up to is lokohan.
It's a way to...
Right. So why is that being allowed?
Yeah.
Why, you know, simple lang yan. I have no idea. But for me, if I get to the Senate, that's one of the things I'm going to do.
Right.
No, I'll push for that.
Right.
Because people need the internet. People need access. They need reliability. And they need 24/7 affordability. So those are things that can be done. No? Those are the things that are frustrating if you're from the outside. So rather than complain,
Sir, uunahan ko na yung mga magtatanong malamang. Baka they will ask you, di ba nag-DOTC ka dati? DOTC, transportation.
Di ba tinanggal yung communication sa DOT?
Pala, sakto. Pero they will ask you na, well, you were part of the admin before. Ba't di nyo nagawa yun?
Wala naman, hindi naman sakop ng trabaho ko yun, di ba? Nakatutok ako sa trabaho ko.
Right. Do you think that's...
By the way, and there are records, I did ask NTC to look into it, but it just wasn't the focus of my job, because my job was something else.
Right. Do you think it's also, like, obviously, your wealth of experience in government, you have a clear track record, but also parang, do you feel like sometimes parang burden din siya na, yun nga, people do have something to actually judge you on? Like,
no, I'll stand by my record versus anybody else. I've actually passed laws of national import.
Yeah.
Diba? Cheaper medicine law, pre-need protection law, RHQ, regional headquarters law. I mean, you know, fair and equitable access to education. Hindi lang ito changing names of streets, ha? or creating high schools. I mean, these are laws that have national impact. No?
Right.
I've passed regulation.
Right.
You know, BUB. I've passed regulation on the consumers or air consumers bill of rights, passengers bill of rights.
That's right.
You know, kahit mga kakilala ko ang may-ari nitong mga airlines, sinabi ko na hindi pwede na basta-basta na lang maka-cancel ang flight, basta na lang madidelay ito ng oras-oras, basta na lang na ililipat mo ang mga tao na walang pakundana sa kanilang convenience or comfort, right? And I said to them, my friends, look, in other countries, this is what we go through. This is what we demand of the other airlines. So that should be available here. So that's why now you have, these are passing, I mean, that's by regulation. That's me. That's me incurring the ire, the anger, the inis of people in the industry, but that's what's right. Diba? So my track record ako. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I'm you know, I'm the best thing or whatever. No, I'm not. I'm just saying, itong track record, itong nagawa ko. No? And these are specific. No? Hindi yung aaralin natin or titingnan natin. Well, I mean, may mga nagawa tayo.
I know I said in the beginning that I won't ask about personalities, but I think I have to ask this because in 2016, it was for better or worse, a huge part of the campaign, the narrative between yourself and now President Rodrigo Duterte. You were very good friends before.
Yeah.
Somehow in the 2016 campaign, you weren't friends anymore. What's happened since? Have you spoken to him or has he reached out? Have you reached out?
No.
Did it bother you during the campaign that it suddenly became a Mar Rojas versus Duterte narrative?
Wala naman. Okay lang yan. Kasama naman yan sa kampanya. Kasama yan sa pakikitunggalian or sa, you know, ganun lang yan.
Right. How about the admin personalities? Because, okay, again, for better or worse, a lot of your allies before are now with the administration. They were with the admin during your time. Now they're the admin during this. Have you spoken to?
Some, not all. I don't know. I don't make na, ito dati, ito ganun. My sense lang is that it reflects on them more than it reflects on me.
Right.
No, it's not, it says more about who they are than it does about me. So
yeah, but going back to my earlier question, apparently don't those things like disturb you about Philippine politics? Na it's almost expected for like, ay, talo yung admin dati, yung kaalyado ko dati, dilipat ako sa in power now.
Maybe you better ask them that.
Kung sila ba yung nababother?
Yeah, it's oftentimes excused by, kailangan ko para matulungan yung mga constituents ko, etc. So the question then becomes, bakit mo kailangan lumipat ng partido? Bakit mo kailangan lumipat or magbago ng paninindigan? Di dapat ayusin natin ang sistema na ang classroom, ang tulay, ang potable water, ang kuryente, dumadating dyan irrespective ng kung ano ang politika ng leader because karapatan ng tao yan. Hindi yan isang parang regalo
prize for the politician.
Hindi. No? So for me, that's what I believe in. No?
Right. Ano ka ba nun? Parang does that, what's the term? Does that dissuade you or does that prevent you from working with people when you know na parang ano to medyo palipat-lipat lang to at his or her convenience?
I don't take it so personally.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, I mean, it's masakit, no?
On a personal level, of course. I mean, you worked with them.
But you know, I'm here not to redo 2016. I'm not here to show them, you see, nagkamali kayo. No. They can do what they want. I'm here because gusto ko makatulong na umahon tayo sa kahirapan. Bea, I've said this before. I am 61 years old. I was born 1957. 1957, Philippines was number 2 in Asia.
Right.
Tinitingala tayo, hinahangaan tayo. Erie was located here because we had the most scientists, the most technology.
Where are they now?
World Health Organization was located here. We had the most doctors, we had the best healthcare, public system healthcare. Asian Development Bank, ADB, was located, this is the bank for Asia, not just for the Philippines.
Right.
It was located here because we had the best finance people, we had the best project specialists, and so on and so forth, right? Now, we are, what do they call us? Third world? Kulela?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not pointing fingers, I'm just saying that that's the situation now. So if whatever it is that we can do so that we can improve our standing, I'm ready to do that. That's what I want to do.
But I'm curious, sir, do you feel pressure sometimes? Do you feel pressure na parang a lot of people can be very extreme on social media, na extremely pro-admin or extremely anti-admin lang talaga ako. Parang, do you feel pressure to conform na parang, di ba opposition ka, di ba LP ka, parang dapat ganito, dapat hardline or dapat ganyan?
No, these terms have been bandied about, opposition, and so on. I really meditated about that.
Yeah.
I really thought about that. And you know what? My answer is, it's this. It's not who I'm against. It's not what I'm against. It's who I'm for, and that's the people.
Right.
And what I'm for, which is progress.
Right.
That's what I'm for.
Yeah.
I don't carry a flag saying, basta I say no to everything. No. I am for progress. I am for a vibrant economy. I am for creating more jobs and incomes and livelihoods. I am for unshackling the things that hold back our economy. That's what I'm for. No?
Right.
If you're against that, doesn't matter to me what other political brand that you have.
Right.
You know? If you're for it, let's work together so that we can push it. Because at the end of the day, we need to create the incomes and jobs and livelihoods. Otherwise, kahirapan tayo.
Sayang ng oras din. Right. You already answered my last question. So
Okay.
if you have any other questions for him, I think you can reach him on social media. Hopefully you will reply to them.
Sure.
As long as you're not,
I'm a Neanderthal when it comes to that. So what happens is, it's really funny. They print out.
Oh gosh.
They print out
the comments or the questions?
the questions, and then I write out my answer, or I type. I can type out my answer. I just cannot work off a screen.
Oh, you don't? It doesn't work for you.
Ang hirap sa akin yung screen because I like to circle, I like to underline, I like to highlight, I like to check. I like so I. What happens is I'll get a piece of paper with the question, I'll rough out my answer, I'll highlight, I'll whatever, and then I'll type out
your answer
my
or
answer,
your thoughts,
and then I'll email it to them. Then they send it. I don't know whatever that format is, no. So I'm a little bit behind.
So he will answer eventually. He will answer eventually, maybe not directly, but he will answer eventually.
Yeah, hirap ako sa screen.
Yeah.
Hirap ako sa screen.
Yeah, but
It's I am not quite papel at lapis.
yeah, I mean,
But
you
not-
do email,
but
you
not-
type
yeah,
things
but
down.
not naman everything on Facebook.
You can't do the whole like live
No,
on
no,
Facebook.
no. I cannot even, like movies. Reading a book on a like I can read a book on a what do you call that? On an
Kindle?
iPad.
Oh, okay.
On an iPad, right? But I cannot read it on a phone.
Right.
Maduduling ako. So maybe
So
it's just
old school.
It's just
trying to go
Yeah,
new
yeah.
school. So thank you for joining us
Thank
this
you.
afternoon,
Thank you.
sir. So the official campaign period begins in
Tuesday.
on February 12th.
Yeah, I'll be going home to Campus where it all
Oh,
started.
because they're launching. You guys are
Well,
kicking off.
No, that's just my family
Okay.
sort of thing that we always want to just punctuate it na dyan tayo nagsimula.
Because you also started the 2016
Yeah.
campaign there, right? Oh.
So dyan tayo nagsimula, and so we give honor to the people who first supported us.
Yeah.
Parang ganun.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I think I'll be seeing you around maybe in the coming weeks, coming months. So,
pero lifestyle ka na from what I understand.
Yeah, maybe you're wondering, but don't wonder. Okay lang yan. We go where we're most needed. So, so if you're watching, ask questions, challenge your candidates. They should be challenged and go beyond gimmicks and personalities. This has been Bea Cupin for #TheLeaderIWant. Thank you for watching, guys.